Huh.
There are two Richards. Definitely we can bump one out.
The ghost.
Keep talking. Keep talking. We want to make sure which one is speaking out.
Okay. This one is the Richard to keep.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
The other one is just dummy. So yeah, it's not speaking out at least. So when you speak, they can see your face.
Okay.
So,
Oh,
you're good.
okay.
Then I think we can get started now.
Okay.
Over here.
All right. Well, welcome to everyone that's joining us tonight, both panelists and attendees. This is our Aliso Viejo City Council Meet the Candidates Forum. I'd like to start out by thanking all of our great candidates that have stepped forward, willing to better our even great city and be willing to volunteer and commit to, quite a task. I think there's much thanks coming to you. So I will go ahead and introduce all the candidates. Just to go over the format, I'll introduce everybody and we'll take it from there. So Michael Brown. Michael, you're here?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Ross Chun.
Hi.
You're
I'm
here. Max Duncan.
Hi, everybody. I'm here.
Richard Hurt.
I'm here.
Perfect. Greg Williams.
Evening.
Michael Winger.
Hi, everybody.
And David Zero.
Howdy.
Great. Okay, so I wanted to take just a moment to give some credit to and some thanks to Sergeant Pepperoni's Pizza over in the Aliso Town Center. In order for us to put this together tonight, there were some expenses, accounts to set up that I didn't have. This is my first time putting something like this together. Oh, speaking of thanks, I have to give a huge shout out to Anand and Chris, who are moderating and helping with tech issues tonight. I could not have done this without them. They've been a huge moral support too. So if you ever want us to do a webinar and you don't know how to do it, these are the two men to call.
Thanks, Diane.
I know, right? So again, thanks to Sergeant Pepperoni's Pizza, because without them, this would have been a little more difficult. So I will explain the forum format. We will begin with an introduction by each candidate that'll be 2 minutes long. Anand has put together an order, random order of who will go first. There will be 3 questions asked. It's the same question that will be asked to all candidates. And again, Anand has put together something that will just assign the questions randomly to each person. We don't want to have the same people going first every single time. So there'll be that introduction for 2 minutes. Each response to the question can be up to 2 minutes, and Anand will let you know if you're at that time or not. And then we will give each candidate the opportunity of a closing or something to leave our audience with. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Anand, and we'll get started.
Great. Thank you, Diane, for hosting this event and putting it all together. I think it's a great idea for our community. Hopefully we can do it again in 2 years, maybe live by that point. All right, we will start off with opening statements in random order. And to start, we'll have Michael Winger.
Oh, great. All right. All right, then. Well, my name's Michael Winger, and I was raised here in Orange County. Lived in Aliso Viejo here for 20 years. I'm married to my wife, Erin, who's a nurse. She's with the Orange County Healthcare Agency. We have 2 boys that attend Aliso Niguel High School. I went to Saddleback College and then went on to Cal State Fullerton and obtained my bachelor's degree in business administration. From there, I went on to Cal State Long Beach and obtained my master's degree in emergency services administration. In 1996, I was hired as a deputy sheriff for the Orange County Sheriff's Department. I worked the jails, patrol, and investigations. And in 2017, I retired. I also own a small business here in Orange County. I run a private investigation agency. The reason why I'm running for city council is that I believe the residents of Aliso Viejo deserve someone who will stand up for them. Someone who's been a part of this community for over 20 years, knows the issues, understands the community, and I know public safety firsthand, and will fight to keep our community, schools, and children safe. I stand for integrity, good government, and fiscal responsibility. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Next, we will have Max Duncan.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Max Duncan, and we love Aliso Viejo. I'm running for city council. I like to describe myself as being in peak kid mode with my awesome wife of 18 years. We also have two awesome kids, age 7 and 11. And like countless residents, we were thrust into being home educators, and we're working through this pandemic like the rest of you. I've worked in Aliso since 1999 in just about every building on Enterprise, and I've seen quite a change in the business corridor over the years. I am a homeowner, an Orange County native, and moved to Aliso Viejo in 2012 from after about 20 years in Costa Mesa. When I first moved here, it was really interesting. I knew this town had an awesome vibe. We were kind of on the outside looking in as my daughter had not entered into kindergarten. Shortly after, when she got into school, we joined soccer, and before we knew it, we were smack dab in the middle of the best family network I could ever imagine. And that's what we have in Aliso Viejo today. I'm heavily involved in leadership roles from YMCA programs, and pre-COVID, you would often find me volunteering inside classrooms at our local schools and outside as well. My lovely wife is involved in the Girl Scouts, and she is also a AYSO referee, which is a thankless job, but they do a great job of it. And of course, all the sports programs, including AVLL, AYSO, and one of my, something I really hold close to my heart for my kids is Master Dan Lockhart at Lockhart's Karate Academy in Aliso Viejo has them almost to the point where they're getting their black belt. So very proud of our community, very proud of our kids, and all of the programs that this community has to offer. A lot of people ask me why I'm running. I think we need to step up our game and bring a fresh perspective. There's real challenges at hand. We need creative solutions and energy. Our community deserves the best leadership we can get. And those who know me know that I'm always looking for a project. I'm ready to take on this project as Aliso Viejo City Council, and we'll bring that experience with me. That's why I'm here. I want to get back to the community. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, we have David Zero.
Excellent. Yeah, so thanks again, everybody, for attending. Some really brief background on me. My name is David Zero. I've lived in Orange County nearly all my life. I hold the degree of Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, and I currently work for Sony Interactive Entertainment here in Aliso Viejo, where I'm responsible for a fairly massive 20,000 server global cloud that powers a lot of very popular PlayStation services. The reason, or the main reason I should say, that I'm running for City Council this year is that I'd like to use my professional experience in order to solve the problem of the internet service provider monopoly, which is an issue that you may or may not be aware of, but that almost certainly affects you if you purchase some kind of internet service in the city. To explain the issue briefly for those of you who aren't aware, in most cities, internet services run as a monopoly. It's usually a single cable operator that provides both television and cable internet service, and then a telephone operator that provides phone and DSL service. The DSL option is generally untenable unless you're stuck in like 1994 without a time machine. So generally you just have the cable provider to go with, and that provider, because they dominate the market, can charge you whatever they want for service that sucks, which is the situation that we're in. And so there's a lot of ways to tackle the problem. For a city as small as ours, arguably the best way is to find a private sector partner. I found at least one such partner willing to fund modern ISP infrastructure for the city, but the current city government apparently has ignored them entirely for reasons that I don't want to speculate about publicly. But I'm hoping to turn that around and try to introduce the competition in that particular market that we need in order to keep consumers from being taken advantage of and to move Aliso Viejo into the future instead of stagnating with respect to technology. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ross Chun.
Thank you. And thank you for hosting this event. I'm very proud to be here and to represent our city and to tell you a little bit about myself. I've lived in Aliso Viejo and been a homeowner here for 20 years with my family, my wife and my 2 kids, and our new rescue dog, Buddy, who we just adopted a couple months ago. I started out as a volunteer with the Aliso Viejo Community Association on the Parks and Rec Committee, but I ended up staying with them for 10 years, 6 years on their board of directors, and 2 years as that board president. During that time, I was appointed to the city's first planning commission, where I served for 4 years, and I've been on the city council for 8 years. And I think it's very important to represent our city within, but also to the county, the region, and the state. And so I've taken on a number of leadership and committee roles with local, county, and regional and state organizations, including the transportation corridor agencies, where I was the board chairman for 2 years and served there for 6 years. The Association of California Cities Orange County, the League of California Cities, the Orange County Council of Governments, and Southern California Association of Governments. So I have represented our city at a number of levels across the state. And I've also worked within our city with our Chamber of Commerce, with our schools. I helped the youths there at the high school found the Aliso Miguel Youth Council. I mentor the environmental group there, and I take in interns from Soka University, where I also guest lecture. And I've founded the Community Leader Scholarship. So I feel like representation is extremely important, but also engagement, being actively involved with all these organizations and across the city. And that's what I've done for the last 8 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. And next we have Richard Hurt.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for attending. Again, my name is Richard Hurt. Thank you for the introduction. And just a little about myself. I went to California Baptist, got a Bachelor of Science in Accounting and an MBA. And I've been in accounting since then, but then I started my career at Riverside Economic Development Agency during the worst financial crisis at the time in 2009. And we were dealing with getting people throughout the county retrained and re-educated and back into the workforce. And then took a promotion over to the Riverside Sheriff's Department, where I worked administratively, and that is where I met my wife, at the Sheriff's Department. So we worked in the specialized accounting unit and did a lot of budgeting and working with contracted city and city managers. From there, I moved to Aliso Viejo, where I got involved. I'm very passionate about kids. I come from a family of service, of people who serve. My grandfather, water boy, military, my father, military, law enforcement, over 30 years, stepmom. These are the things that I think is important to us as a family, and to my wife, who actually volunteers as well at food banks. I'm the president of the board for the Friends of Aliso Viejo Library, where we work to just support the library and make sure the kids have the opportunity and the resources they need to succeed in the future. I did Kids Run the OC. I'm a volunteer coach there. I coach girls basketball as well. And I mentor and talk to young people about success and going to college and the importance of college and getting your education and going further. I'm also a results advocate. I'm part of the National Small Business Association, where we advocate for small business, where we actually get together and form ideas about how we can have better business in South Orange County. And so thank you. Back to you, Anand.
Thank you. And next we have Michael Brown.
Hi, my name is Michael Brown. I'm a business and healthcare attorney working and living in Aliso Viejo. I'm a native of Southern California, went to Cal State Fullerton, obtained a degree in political science, and then went on to Pepperdine Law School in Malibu. I moved to Aliso Viejo in the Pacific Ridge community in 1993. I've seen Aliso become a city, saw the creation of the town center, and most of the other developments throughout the city. We fought very hard to prevent the conversion of the El Toro Military Airport to a commercial airport, which would have devastated our community. And so I'm very proud of the work we did on that. I've raised my 2 children in Aliso Viejo. My son, who is autistic, attended special education programs both in Aliso Viejo as well as other schools in the area. My daughter went to AV Christian School, K through 8th, and then to Aliso Newgill, where she was a varsity cheerleader. And both were involved in soccer as well as other activities, White Princesses, etc. For most of my career, I've been an in-house counsel or general counsel for a variety of healthcare companies, including Neogenomics, which is based here in Aliso Viejo. Since 2017, I've been operating my own law practice and representing mostly businesses and helping them grow. I don't litigate and I don't sue. I'm running for Aliso Viejo Council because I know I can serve the city well. Like most of the candidates here, I love this city and the life that it's afforded both me and my family, and I want to see it continue for the next generation. My primary areas of concern are proper development of the town center, revitalization of economy and growth, and also ensure law enforcement and other city services keep in step with our growth. I think my legal work with counties will help me make a better city councilman. Thank you.
And finally, Greg Williams.
Good evening. First and foremost, I want to thank the 100 of you who are live with us tonight, or however many chose to log in, and everyone who will be watching this recording between now and the election, for taking the time to learn about your city council candidates. I have to believe that those of you watching this event are doing so because you truly care about our Aliso Viejo community and you want to make an informed decision about the future leadership of our wonderful city. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope that in our divisive world, tonight brings you optimism for our shared Aliso Viejo future, because it's what you tell your friends and neighbors after watching tonight's event that will ultimately determine the course of this election and our city's leadership over the critical next 4 years. So give yourself a pat on the back for selflessly investing your time in being an active and informed member of our community. My name is Greg J. Williams, and I would be honored to serve my beloved hometown as your next city council member. From the moment I came home from Saddleback Memorial Hospital in May of 1993, the land of Aliso Viejo has been my home. I grew up in Glenwood Terrace, one of Aliso Territory's first communities of single-family homes. I attended Foxborough Elementary, now Journey Charter School, where I served as school president in 5th grade. I attended Aliso Viejo Middle School, where I trained for 2 LA marathons on our trails, and Aliso Niguel High School, where I played 4 sports, served in our student government, and graduated as one of the valedictorians. At UC Irvine, I majored in chemical engineering, served as president of one student organization, and co-founded another. 3 months after I graduated from UC Irvine, I bought my town home right here in my hometown. I attended Stoke University on a full scholarship, where I earned my master's in educational leadership and societal change, graduating with a perfect GPA. I'm running for city council because I truly and authentically love my hometown. I believe in Aliso, an extensive.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to question 1, and we're going to start with Michael Brown. Question 1. What is your position on converting Aliso Viejo to a charter city with, among other things, a directly elected executive mayor?
There are benefits for both, and I can understand the benefits for both. To put it as straightforward as I can, I would not object to moving Aliso Viejo to a charter. I think there are many benefits that we could benefit from, for lack of a better word. And so therefore, I would be in support of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Greg Williams.
Absolutely. I've spent the last 10 years serving families in our community as the director of CC Prep, where I helped kids with their college applications, their SATs and ACTs, and their high school AP classes. So when we talk about education, we're talking about something that's very personal to me. Not only did I grow up in our Aliso schools, but I studied educational leadership at Soka University. And we spent a good amount of time talking about charter schools. And charter schools are a very tricky issue. First, we need innovation in our education system. If there's one thing that we've noticed over the course of this year, it's the fact that our education system has been rooted in the traditions of really the late 1800s and early 1900s. And the classrooms of then look like the classrooms of today. So certainly charter schools are part of our national ability to try new approaches and to try to bring our education system into the 21st century. Now in our community, I know we have some charter schools, but at the same time, I love our public schools. The public schools in our community have served me incredibly well. We have dedicated teachers, dedicated staff that work hard every day to ensure that they create opportunities for our students. So if there were charter schools to come to our community, we'd have to think thoughtfully to make sure that we are still enabling others to access a quality education while still innovating in a way that's going to keep Aliso Viejo a great place to live.
Thank you. Next is Max Duncan.
So the benefits of Aliso Viejo changing to a charter city, I don't know why we would want to do that. Everything is working right now. I think prior to COVID, the city was firing on all 8 cylinders with going back a few years, leaving town center out of it. I think the city management, the way the city was founded with AVCA being the master association, it's a very unique experiment that we started back in the early 90s that has then been replicated nationwide. So while I think there's always room for discussion on how to improve, I don't think that's one of the biggest challenges at hand right now with our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Michael Winger.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think, I think that the city government's is running very smoothly as it is. I'm not opposed to a charter city, but I don't know if I want to move forward with going forward with a charter city at this point. I think what we have in place works right now. It's working well, and I think at this point, we could examine it at a future date and look at the pros and cons of where we're at now and go into a charter city. I believe that in balanced government, and we should explore all options. But I think at this point, without further divulging into it, I think we're good where we're at. I think, like I said, we could look at it at a future point, going over to a charter city. But right now, I think we should stay with how the city's running as it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is David Zero.
Yeah, I'm basically just going to echo what everyone else said. And it's not an issue I've studied a whole lot, but, like everyone else is saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it in this particular case. I don't know, there might be some reason to do it that I'm not aware of, but that it would take some studying. Yeah, I got nothing more to add on that.
Thank you. Next is Ross Chun.
Thank you. Well, the fact is the city of Aliso Viejo is currently examining its options to become a charter city. And there are benefits to it. And I think that the original conversation came up about 4 meetings ago. And the question really revolves around municipal services. Becoming a charter city ideally brings more local control to Aliso Viejo. And part of that control has to do with the way we contract for municipal services. And primary among those municipal services is law enforcement. I know that our law enforcement contract is becoming unmanageable and beyond our budget. And so for a lot of council members and staff, the idea of becoming a charter city means a bit of logistics, going out to the public, having it voted on, and then deciding if we want to take on the responsibility of managing and contracting our own law enforcement or creating an internal law enforcement bureau. So it's a big expense and it's being investigated right now. We've had a couple of discussions and one of our council members has taken on the responsibility of developing an agenda item that explains more thoroughly Charter City and how we would go about it, what the costs would be, how it would help us to manage or not be able to manage our law enforcement, our fire authority, and our public utilities. All of those things are the municipal services that are considered. But the brass ring that everyone's reaching for is more local control. The question is, can we afford it? In municipal government and local offices, local control is what everybody wants, everybody hopes for, and we hope to have the ability to afford it. But until the issue is presented back to our council by my fellow council member and evaluated by the staff, we don't know if a charter city is going to be in the cards for us. We'll have to find out.
Russ? And finally, Richard Hurt.
Actually, at the moment, I don't think we need to be in a charter city. I don't think we don't need it. We can be creative outside of what we can be way more creative than what we're doing right now, and to bring some of our city services up to date, and that is actually making a difference in impacting lives of Aliso Viejo. The charter doesn't. If we're doing it just for control, I don't see the point to doing it. Like was echoed already, we'll have to pay more attention to our budget, and we've already known some things are changing. Retail is changing, everything is changing, and it's better just to focus on what we have now, think creatively, and as a council with five people on the council can come up with ideas to make the city better and lean more towards the future that Aliso Viejans want to actually see. So that's my position on it. It's not needed right now, especially just for the reason of just control. It's not a good reason to do it.
Thank you. Question 2, and we will start with David Zero. What participation, if any, have you had in the city's activities, community affairs, or city council meetings?
Gotcha. So, yeah, I'll start off by saying that I've not been involved in any kind of like local committees or governing bodies or any of that kind of stuff. I tend to shy away from those kinds of things, as a matter of fact. I will say over the last 2 months or so, I've been slowly growing the Aliso Gun Club, which is a local club that I've started in order to bring together, firearms enthusiasts and people who care about our constitutional rights to keep and bear arms. The group's got over 70 members at this point, and we're still growing. And I'd encourage if any of you are interested in joining, shoot me an email. Yeah, that said, I guess, a major part of my agenda is that I want to bring a lot more to the table as far as, this like community engagement type stuff than what I've seen from the city so far already. I appreciate the work that AFCA does, and, as far as community events and that kind of thing. And I don't mean to sound rude when I say this, but I think maybe the city might suffer from a lack of like younger people in government, if you know what I mean. So like there are things that an older crowd just won't think of in terms of community engagement. I mentioned a couple of examples on my site, but one of them would be something like a legal wall, as artists like to call it. You put up a wall somewhere or designate an existing wall in the city, a legal wall. You just let anyone paint on it. It's a great way to bring people together, and it's got some added benefits, like people who do graffiti under the freeway at midnight or whatever, where we have to clean it up, won't do it there. They'll do it on a legal wall.
Thank you, David. Next is Richard Hurt.
Okay, so in terms of the community, as I stated before, I do Kids Run the OC. I'm the president of the board for the Friends of Aliso Viejo. We do a lot of activities there, math challenges, and a lot of things that help our kids. I volunteer coach. I'm part of the Wellness Prevention Committee where we work to try to get counselors in the high school, and I've also tried to bring those same counselors to the library to make sure that our kids have an extra out to talk to someone if they're going through a lot of the problems that they see, like with social media, some of the vaping issues that we've had in the school. I've I'm definitely an advocate for business as a small business owner. And I've been doing that, been advocating for a small business in South Orange County. I took a plan and tried to go talk to the assembly member, been to Washington, D.C., and met with some of the higher ups to talk about business. I was also part of the 4th of July planning committee for the 4th of July bike parade. So I've been active. It's something that we do. My wife sings for church. She sings at our church at Saddleback. She's on the praise and worship team, and I actually volunteer there as well, and with food banks. So I try to be very involved in the community, because this is the community my wife and I decided that we were going to continue to build our future together on. Part of my campaign too was about bringing in people from different views, people who are business owners that go outside of the city, people to run their business, start their business, seniors who have voiced their concerns with the lack of resources that they had, even with some of the services that we do have. We attract them, but they need help being on fixed incomes. I've just been working around the clock to try to bring some notice to the people that feel sometimes that they're overlooked. And with the renters that have rented here for 15 years and property owners, that's what our campaign has been about, bringing in people and standing up for people.
Thank you, Richard. And next we have Michael Winger.
Actually, obviously, as a deputy sheriff, I worked patrol here in Aliso Viejo. This is many, many years ago, prior to actually becoming before the city became incorporated. While working at the Sheriff's Department, I worked with numerous community faith-based groups, schools, substance abuse and mental health programs. When my kids were much younger, they're in high school now. When they were younger, I volunteered with the Boy Scouts and with the YMCA youth basketball programs. I've served on my community HOA for the past 6 years. I volunteer on that, and I have attended and since COVID, I've been watching the city council meetings online. In the past, I've attended some of the city council meetings. So, I've been I've been here for 20 years, very involved. My kids, both my children have been to, they went to Aliso Viejo Christian School, Aliso Viejo Middle School, and now they're in high school. So very involved in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Max Duncan.
So in regards to viewership of city council, involvement in city council meetings, I'm an avid viewer pre-COVID of those meetings and have become an avid listener of these meetings since the pandemic hit, which is unfortunate. I'm very up to speed on most of the issues that are currently facing the city, and I religiously go through every one of the minutes that are published and all of the agendas. I've been to the dais many times with my daughter's sports teams, and those are always uplifting, and city council does a really great job of providing awards, and the city staff putting together booklets and nice mementos for the kids when they do come in, and I really appreciate that city council does that, and I hope that continues. Moving past that, I actually at one point installed all of the disaster recovery systems for the city. Those are technology systems which basically take all of the systems that are operating within a data center and migrate and replicate in real time that data up to a cloud that I built out when I was a business owner. And that really helped Aliso Viejo protect their systems and gave them the ability to fail over if Godzilla happens to step on City Hall for whatever reason. And again, as far as the community is concerned, very involved with the YMCA. A year and a half ago, I led the Adventure Guides program with about 400 dads and daughters. Very special place in my heart, and really allowed me to really give back to the Aliso Viejo and the subsequent cities around us to allow fathers to be able to get some alone time with their kids and really cherish and grow that relationship. I almost joined the PTA board at one point, but backed out of that just due to time commitments and time constraints. But yeah, at any point where I can, I like to involve myself in volunteer roles, and I'm looking forward to being on city council. Thank you.
Thank you. And next,
Anand, can I just make one quick request? Can we all make sure that we're on mute if it's not our turn to be speaking? I saw on the chat, I guess some people have had their mic on, so thanks.
okay, no problem. Next is Michael Brown.
Well, I'm probably one of the oldest candidates, so unfortunately, most of my volunteer work was when my children were younger. As I've mentioned before, my son was, or still is, autistic, and so that gave me ample time to get very involved in the special ed programs through all the schools here at DJAMS and elsewhere. And so I became very, very familiar with the educational system, both special needs as well as public. My daughter also went to Aliso Viejo Christian, and so became very aware of what that involved. Worked very hard to combat the airport, which we were successful in. At the time I was married, my then wife was very involved in the Friends of Aliso Viejo Library. As a matter of fact, was the first leader for that, and actually started it when they were building the library. We also worked together to have a tot lot built in Pacific Ridge. We also worked together on Taste of Aliso when our daughter was in high school. Subsequent to that, I've continued to work with Aliso Niguel Football and the Taste for Aliso program. And, you know, raising a family, especially when you have a wife who stays home and takes care of the kids, doesn't give you necessarily a lot of time to focus on the volunteer, but I'm very grateful that she had the time to commit. And now that my children are raised, I look forward to serving this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Greg Williams.
So growing up in Aliso Viejo, I've had the opportunity to engage in all kinds of different groups in our community. My first city council meeting I actually attended when I was 10 years old, when my elementary school's Destination Imagination team was being recognized for reaching the global finals in Knoxville, Tennessee. And as I stood behind that podium at 10 years old, I had that first idea of maybe one day, this might be in my future. Since then, I worked through the school system, probably most involved in our community in my role of Commissioner of Philanthropy as a member of the student government at Aliso Niguel High School. As Commissioner of Philanthropy, I sponsored blood drives to help stock our blood banks in our community. And I worked closely with police and fire to put on a car crash assembly to discourage drunk driving in prom season. As part of being on ASB, we were actually again invited to attend Aliso Viejo City Hall back in 2010, when then Mayor Phil Sonoda talked about starting a youth committee. And so excited about the idea of getting involved in my community, I decided to email him right away to try to start a youth committee my senior year in high school, after it wouldn't have even mattered for my college applications. Unfortunately, we met towards the end of the year, and given the way the terms came out, the youth committee never came to fruition. And I'm so excited that Ross Chun has put together a youth council, and I wanted to recognize him for doing so because that was a long time dream of mine. I also serve our community in my roles as an educator. Now, while I primarily serve as a private educator, I also spend a good deal of time volunteering for community organizations. Futurology has invited me to come give an SAT, ACT boot camp for students, including students from Aliso Niguel, and I'm excited to continue to serve my community as a member of your city council.
Thank you. Next, Ross Chun.
Thank you. You know, along with the experience that I spoke about in the introduction, I have been very proud of the opportunities I've had to partner with the community. During last year, my term as mayor of the city, I did something that no other mayor had done. I took each month and I honored a different community partner to better engage with them, to thank them for the things they do to support Aliso Viejo in areas of environmentalism, of education, of recreation, all the different organizations that we rely on. I brought their leadership in, even from the food bank, homelessness providers, everything that we rely on. They're sort of the unsung heroes. But throughout my term, I've, for the last 8 years, hosted a coffee chat to engage with the public. I make sure that I'm involved directly with our senior communities, all of them, where I'm either helping with entertainment or serving food or delivering meals. I work with our schools, the elementary schools, where I drop in for Zoom classes now in a virtual environment and talk about ethnic heritage and music. I participate in the college fair and the science fair. I work with our faith-based communities, especially at this time when we are looking for opportunities to do things like host blood drives for the American Red Cross. I work with the Boys and Girls Club on their literacy program in our Via Iglesia area. I work with our youth sports on an ongoing basis. And most recently, I've been working with a new organization, a student-run organization called CUSD Against Racism, where we are putting together an ethnic heritage curriculum for the Capistrano Unified School District. So all of these aspects of community involvement are very close to my heart, and I'm very proud of the opportunities I've had to work with these community members, along with my governmental experience.
Thank you, Ross. Last question, and we're going to start with Greg Williams. How do you plan to mitigate the city's continuously growing cost of public safety?
Absolutely. Fiscal responsibility is something that I hold near and dear to my heart. And as a local government, we have to be realistic about what we can afford and what we can't afford. On the other side of that same coin, we enjoy a particular quality of life here in Aliso Viejo. And in order to enjoy that quality of life, there are costs to be had. My priority when it comes to making sure that we can enjoy the quality of life that we've come to appreciate here in Aliso Viejo is to make sure that we support businesses in our post-COVID era. As we take a look at our economy and we take a look at retail in our economy, and then you look at our town center, we have to recognize that we need to take conscious action as a community to support our small businesses, to keep town center filled so that we can collect the business taxes that we need to be able to live the quality of life that we enjoy. A significant part of that is the Aliso Commons project. At the Commons, I would hope to support a plan. It's not my dream. I'm so excited to see what the people of Aliso Viejo dream up. But I want to see something there that draws people to Aliso Viejo from other cities, that puts us on the map. Something else that can go with that movie theater where people say, you know what, I want to spend tonight in Aliso. Because one more pillar in the Commons, along with our movie theater and along with our town center, is going to allow us to maintain our status as a local retail and community and overall powerhouse for the experiences of people in Orange County.
Thank you. Next, Michael Brown.
You're muted, friend.
Michael Brown?
Yeah. I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Certainly. How do you plan to mitigate the city's continuously growing cost of public safety?
Well, the only way to combat the cost is, number one, make sure that what you are spending, you're spending wisely. That'll take a review of existing city contracts, city service contracts, etc., to ensure that we're getting the most quote unquote bang for our buck. The second area to look at is, what are you bringing in? What are the sources? Aliso Viejo is very developed. It has a few areas to develop, but I don't think we can really rely on property taxes and increases in property development as a main source. I agree with Greg that our main source will probably be in the business tax, sales tax area, and that our focus should be in revitalizing and invigorating our local markets for local businesses. And that is a two-tiered approach. It requires not only assistance by the city, but also participation by the community to support the objective. The development of the town center is obviously one of the significant ways that the city can consider ensuring that the costs do not increase beyond control. It would be my view that we would look at primarily areas where we can increase sales tax without negatively impacting the character of our city. No traffic congestions, no light industrial manufacturing type things that may change or alter our community. So that would be my recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Next,
Could we
Michael.
pause for just a moment? I'm sorry to interrupt. Richard Hurt somehow got bumped out of the meeting and he's asking to be readmitted.
He needs to just click on the link that he was sent from Diane initially. There is no lock on it. I don't know if Diane, if you can resend the link through the Zoom portal to him, resend the invite.
Let me see. I don't know. Yeah, I think the best way is going to be for him. He probably has that email pulled up fairly recently. If he can, I'm looking through as I'm saying this.
Okay, I'm going to text him. Sorry about this.
No.
Sent me a message.
I'm glad that he was able to get through to you.
Well, he's going to be last. So should we continue while we wait for him? Or do you want to pause a little bit more?
That's fine. I sent him the message.
Okay, so let's continue. Michael Winger.
Great, thank you. You know, as a deputy sheriff for 20 years, I'm, you know, quite familiar with this topic. There's a few things that we can do to mitigate the cost. One, we can talk about combining services with other cities. We definitely don't want to take our deputies off the streets. Our city does not want to defund the police or anything like that. I'm opposed to that. We want to keep our city safe, our families safe, our children and our schools safe. That's a priority here in Aliso Viejo. We could also get funds also by growth in the city, by promoting growth, new businesses, which will increase the sales tax. But we definitely don't want to lose deputy sheriffs on our streets. That's going to increase response times. Once we start losing deputies off of our city streets, you know, response times are going to increase. They're going to have to call out. If there is an incident that occurs, or they're going to have to call units from other cities to come into our city to respond. When we have deputies that don't know our city and know the streets and they're coming from other cities, it could double or triple our response times. So that's something that we have to be aware of and be conscious of when we're thinking about basically with mitigating public safety. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the link's not working for Richard. So Diane, I think you're gonna have to try to resend him the link from the web panel.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna without.
You don't need to exit out. You just need to go to the Zoom website, go to the webinar, and resend the invite, the panelist invite.
Got it.
That's how you do that. In the meantime, we will continue. David Zero, you're next.
Sure. So, see, this is a particularly tricky problem. Yeah, the fact is that I think the city probably loses out on most of the sales tax it would collect, because I imagine most of the sales done in this city are online anyway. People are shopping on Amazon and, you know, wherever all the time. And I imagine there's a lot of tax revenue the city just doesn't get. I don't know how much more, like raising taxes and trying to squeeze more taxes out of the city should probably be a last resort anyway, in any case. I would probably, yeah, it's a tough call. I would look at partnering with other cities to see if we can fund some kind of joint thing, you know. There's, yeah, you could also look at, like, you should do a formal study to see whether or not you can afford to take police off of the streets. I would be very kind of wary of any argument that preaches like absolute doom if we remove like a couple of officers, but I don't have the statistics and the numbers in front of me to know how many officers we have on the streets right now, and you know who's doing what and how effective it is. So, but given some hard data, we may find out that it is actually a good idea to say remove one or two officers from duty in Aliso Viejo or something like that. But it's very hard to say without some hard data. So that's all I can say for now.
Thank you. Next, Max Duncan.
Yeah, so Aliso Viejo is a very fiscally responsible city. We have over $30 million in reserves, which translates into, if I recall properly, about a year and a half of operating expenses. That is unheard of with other cities, across California and even the nation. So we need to find a way to deal with the ever-growing increases in the Orange County Sheriff's costs. I do want to make a quick note on OCSD, and I have had nothing but absolute professionalism with this group. We've had events with our kids and we've had lieutenants come down and educate our adventure guides programs. They are nothing but absolute pros, and our city would be have a gigantic problem if we did not have them here. I do not support any defund the police efforts. I think it's irresponsible to even talk like that. But the increases right now are typically 0.4% over year over year as the prices continue to increase for the Orange County Sheriff. While we're only, as a city, pre-COVID, mind you, seeing revenue increases of 3% over year. Now, can we sustain that for a long time? Probably, but it's going to end up depleting money from reserves, and it's a problem. Speaking back to the concept of a charter city, certainly we could explore, and we should, possibilities with other cities partnering and seeing how we can consolidate some resources. There may be some benefits there, but at the end of the day, we need to respect, support our law enforcement. They do a great job for us today, and we need to also, if we can fix Town Center, we could get a responsible development plan at the Commons. I think we could see an increase in that tax revenue, which would mitigate the issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Ross Chun.
So before you start the timer, Anand, could you repeat the question? Because I want to get the wording
Sure.
straight on what you had asked.
How do you plan to mitigate the city's continuously growing cost of public safety?
Okay, so with that question, the first thing to do is identify the public safety not only includes law enforcement, but it includes fire and emergency response. Fire and emergency response is part of the budget that comes from property taxes directly into a fund. So we don't control that necessarily. But if we go back to law enforcement, we do have hard data. A study was done 2 years ago at some expense, significant expense, to determine some options on what we can do. And those options that were discussed had to do with shared services with adjacent cities. It also had to do with how we're expending our funds and the amount of overtime and the use of our chief of police services and our administrative sergeants. So all these studies have been done, and the city entered into some contract negotiations with the Orange County Sheriff and to find a way that is going to be beneficial without having a detrimental impact on our public safety, on our quality of life. It's interesting that the algorithm that's used to determine how much you spend and the cost per deputy, it's simple arithmetic. And you can bring down your budget a notch and you lose X number of deputies, and then the amount of incidents that they can respond to is altered. So what's needed right now is not only on the other side, which is how we're going to bring in tax revenue or revenue in general that will fund our police department, but then also how are we going to maintain efficient use of the services we have. I don't believe that a charter city is going to be the solution to that, but we do have the information. We've done the study. We've been negotiating with the Sheriff's Department, and in the end, I believe the solution is going to be adequate funding and then partnerships with adjacent cities, and then more stringent management of overtime and the use of our deputies and the disbursement across our city.
Thank you. And finally, Richard Hurt.
Yes, so understanding the contract and working administratively in the Sheriff's Department, and just being in a law enforcement family, dad over 30 years, and my stepmother in law enforcement well over 30 years, and me working for the sheriff, it's the sheriff's contract is very complicated, as we all know. Number one, the costs probably haven't went up to only about 2% more recently, and going forward, there's going to be cameras. The costs are going up, and as we've heard from previous council meetings, we knew these costs were coming 10 years ago. So now it's time to make the decisions. And where I always come from is putting a bigger emphasis on small businesses and what we do in the town center and attracting the businesses for long-term growth. Now that is hard to do. You can't just do it overnight, but we should start on it, because I have been to other cities and seen residents that live here go and start their businesses in other cities, or they just have their business services in other cities. And I think that if we can bring our focus back to encouraging small business growth in our own city, instead of the chains who get up and leave whenever financial times change, that will help us greatly. As far as when we talk public safety, I think more in terms too of what we do with our kids and the services and who we can partner with to make sure that we are combating the things that they go through in high school. Like I was saying, with internet bullying, with a lot of those things that they're experiencing right now, to where we have to bring counselors in our school. Our public safety has expanded way more than just the talk of deputies. So how we do it is it will take 5 people to get into a study session and actually sit down and go through, but the future of our city is dependent upon that, especially as more policy comes down from Sacramento. It will be affecting our city. So if our revenue growth isn't keeping up with some of these contracts, we really need to rehash and, like I said, re-strategize. And that's what I want to do when we get on council, because it is that important and our future is that important, and we need to take it seriously.
Thank you, Richard. All right, it's time for closing statements, and we will start with Max Duncan.
Thank you very much. So I got to be honest, I am not a politician, if that wasn't clear. I didn't move here to get into politics, but I am a resident who has worked and lived in Aliso for over 20 years, and I greatly care about our community. I want to take this opportunity to thank Ross Chun. Ross has been an incredible leader, and he has provided the city amazing leadership for the past 8 years, to the level that I don't think I've ever seen with a city council member in this city. He's truly an asset for Aliso Viejo, and I desire nothing more than to emulate his style of leadership and mentorship. I believe that Aliso Viejo is at a crossroad of sorts. The master plan experiment that was formed in the early 90s, it's proven to be successful, and it's been duplicated many times nationwide. And the partnership with ABCA has kept our city beautiful. Everyone I know that visits from out of town is just in awe at the slopes and how beautiful our city is maintained. Aliso Viejo is fiscally conservative, and it's in all of our interests to keep it that way. I will do that. Some development proposals, however, they will leave a lasting mark on the city if not done properly. Town center is in urgent need of redevelopment. We need to do this responsibly and with consideration to all of our residents. I believe there should be no approval of development plans at the Commons without consideration of town center. That's our leverage point. We can't build anything there until we fix what's going on across the street, or we may give up an excellent opportunity to get both sites developed properly. I feel we need to step up our game bigly. We have a massive hole that the pandemic left, and I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get to work. I'm running for city council to give back to Aliso for all it has provided my family. I sincerely appreciate your vote this election cycle. And if you'd like to learn more about my platform, please visit maxforaliso.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. Next, Ross Chun.
Thank you. I obviously feel that experience is critical, especially at this time when decisions are going to be made. As soon as you sit down in that chair, as soon as you're elected, you are responsible for representing 50,000 plus residents in Aliso Viejo and the businesses and the schools and everything that makes up our community. I think that engagement is incredibly crucial. Engagement with our schools, with our businesses, with the families, with our youth. And leadership in those areas is what is going to lead to our success. But all told, vision is what I think our city needs to really flourish. And there's a great example of a vision that I've shared with my colleagues. And that vision is for the Aliso Viejo Ranch to be completed. Now, a lot of people may not know this, but I've actually worked on that ranch development plan for almost 20 years across 3 different agencies, and it is finally coming to fruition. And look at the benefit it's going to bring to our community. It is going to bring education and recreation together that's good for the environment and great for our families, and it's going to be an attractive point in our city all across the state. And that's the type of vision that I'd like to see applied to all the other areas that make up our community. And I'd like to use my experience and my leadership success to engage with all aspects of our community and really maintain and grow Aliso Viejo to be the kind of place that everyone wants to live. We've enjoyed ourselves pre-COVID. Now we do have a lot of work in front of us, but it is not insurmountable. And with projects like the ranch and leadership like we can have on our council, I think that we will all benefit from that success. Our families, our friends, homeowners, renters, businesses, everyone who really holds Aliso Viejo near and dear to their hearts will benefit. And that's what I'm looking forward to. And I'm looking forward to serve another term to represent you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. Next is Richard Hurt.
So my outro, I would like to, number one, give thanks to all the people who came together for my campaign to overcome the hurdles that we actually had to overcome and that we're still working to overcome. What I've been able to do and the overwhelming support and volunteerism that I've seen from different parties, from independents to Republicans, the Democrats, all coming together to go out since last April. That's when we started our campaign. It wasn't just the spur of the moment. I've studied, I've watched council meetings, I've always attended, well, not always attended, but I've watched them and I've attended at least over the last year. This has been something that I've shared dearly because I've been able to go out and talk to people and meet them where they were. And that has been, I can't say enough about the volunteers who get up every day and call. So I would like to thank them, and I know they're watching, so thank you. I would also like to thank just the people around who are just the encouraging words that they always give. At knowing that our city needs some forward-thinking policy, knowing that our kids should be the light of our eyes and should be in front of everything that we do, the library services, all the way down to all the other community organizations that we have that we need to partner with to be successful in the future. I would like to thank them too. Our campaign has been one that includes people, and we've done that in this campaign. We've reached out, we phone banked. As a matter of fact, I think my volunteers are phone banking now. We've canvassed, we've walked. It's something that we all believe in. It's something that everyone has been welcome to our campaign, and we take great pride in that. So secondly, yes, it will take a lot of vision, and it's going to take a lot of hard choices, but we actually have to be able to talk with one another first and actually get along on the council and work together instead of being apart from each other, because we can't do anything if we're divided. And it's important to get outside of our regular spheres of influence and reach out and talk to other people who have great ideas in the city as well.
Thank you, Richard. Next is Michael Winger. Michael, you're muted.
Sorry about that.
I'll restart.
Actually, thank you very much. I want to let the residents of Aliso Viejo know that, I believe accountability is the cornerstone of good government. I'm going to strive to make our city government is accountable, transparent, and responsive to our residents and the community. I want to ensure that the town center and the commons remain a vibrant part of our city, and I will work to develop a balanced business and growth plan that benefit the residents, the visitors, and businesses alike. I'm committed to providing the residents of Aliso Viejo with the best of me. A vote for me will ensure your voice will be heard in making Aliso Viejo the best city in Orange County. It'll be an honor to serve our community and the residents of Aliso Viejo. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Greg Williams.
Thank you all for joining us here this evening. I want to start by actually talking about my youth. because I recognize that for a lot of you watching here at home, you may have agreed with the ideas that I've shared today, but I look a little young to you to be running for city council. While I may be young, I'm 27 years old, I have had experiences throughout my life that I believe have prepared me to serve our city on our city council. I know our city from a firsthand perspective. I can empathize with the experiences of our students and our families, and I've watched this city as it's grown together. My leadership roles all the way from elementary school to high school to college, and my 10 years as a partner at Comprehensive College Prep have given me a whole host of experiences that I want to offer my community. While I may speak a little bit like a politician, I'm not running with any sort of political agenda. I'm running because I truly and authentically love my hometown. And I want to offer my leadership to the community that's given me so much. As I close this evening, while a little bit cliche, I want to end with a quote. In the book Stumbling on Happiness, Harvard psychologist Daniel Gilbert writes, "Because it is so much easier to remember the past than it is to imagine new possibilities, we tend to compare the present to the past when we ought to be comparing it with the possible." While it seems distant now, there will be a day when we put this pandemic behind us. While 2020 has challenged us and we still have a long way to go, the season will emerge when we come from this pandemic with the tremendous potential to start anew. Your city council vote this year determines the leadership that will guide us into our post-COVID future. I want to thank you for taking the time again to be here with us tonight. If you'd like to hear more about our message, join me at facebook.com/GregForAliso.
Thank you. Next is Michael Brown.
Thank you. Thank you all for attending and basically bearing through so many candidates discuss the same issue and trying to keep them straight and to make sure that you know who stands for what. It is a challenge. All I can say is that I moved to the city in 1993. I've raised my family here. I love it. I owe it. I want to give back. But you know what? Every other candidate who's here tonight loves this city. Every other candidate wants to serve it as well. I don't think any of us lack the passion or the desire to serve. The question is are we happy with the way things are? Do we need a new infusion of new ideas and new concepts? Is it good to get different people from different backgrounds onto the city council so problems can be looked at from different angles? You've heard about the town center, you've heard about the revenues, you've heard about the charter city. All those things are very important issues. And you really need to trust the people that you're going to elect, because they're the ones who are going to have to do the research. They're the ones who are going to have to know all the facts before making the decision. We can say things off the cuff here, but when the rubber, quote unquote, meets the road, it's really based on, do you have the accurate facts to make the correct decision? And based on my training and experience, I believe I can do that. You have 3 votes. 3 votes. I ask only for 1. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, David Zero.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so before I go, I guess there is one kind of small awkward thing that I should address. Knowing how the sort of rumor mill starts, I figure it's important to mention it anyway. There was some post on Facebook some weeks ago by Timothy Myers or something like that, amateur journalist or something, alleging that he said something like along the lines of like, I don't live in Aliso Viejo and that I like registered to vote here with a work address, which like I'm not sure what that means, but in case any of you watching are inclined to believe that kind of thing, I can assure you that I do live in Aliso Viejo, and if you don't believe that, I can invite you over for tea or something. I don't know. So with that, with that out of the way, yeah, sorry about the digression. yeah, in closing, I just want to say thanks to Diane for organizing this little thing. It's important for, people to get to know us, and I appreciate the opportunity to kind of get to share a little bit of, what I'm about. And, I don't have a political party backing me. I don't have a team of 1 million people or whatever pushing me. I've got 2 friends. You guys know who you are. Thank you for supporting me. And I urge anyone who is listening and who is tired of being kicked around by cable companies because they hold a monopoly to let me help you and let me help all of us because I'm getting kicked around too. So let me help us solve this issue like once and for all. Yeah, thanks again, everybody. Best of luck to all of you. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me. You can find me at, or you can email me at david@david-0.vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all our panelists. Thank you to all our attendees. Diane, back to you for final words.
That was great, really great. It's truly a pleasure to get to know each of you a little bit better. And again, I really am so thankful, as I'm sure everyone watching and everyone that will watch is to all of you. What a great. I think we need to expand the city council to like 10 people. No, maybe that wouldn't work. Anyway, again, thank you to you guys. Thank you to all the residents. This has been pretty refreshing considering how stressful things have been in real life, and it's good to see all the good in people. So, and then again, I'll plug just once more for anybody that's watching now that came in late or wants to share this. It is being recorded, and we'll get that out to you probably. I think I'll try to post it on Nextdoor if I can, and then also on the different residents pages on Facebook. So thank you everyone for coming, and this was great.
Hey guys, let's also thank Anand for doing such a great job.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
You guys are awesome.
Everybody,
Yeah, bye.
thank you for attending. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Everyone.